Chocolate.
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 From Dame Cacao, I'm Max Gandy, and this is Chocolate on the Road, the show where we explore hot topics surrounding cacao and chocolate cultures around the world. So let's hit the road. While researching how to introduce the topic of Hong Kong, I typed, "Is Hong Kong?" into Google, and then let it autocomplete with commonly asked questions. Some of these include, is Hong Kong expensive? Is Hong Kong safe? And is Hong Kong an island? The answers to these, in order, are yes, yes, and sort of. But the number one question was, is Hong Kong a country? And that one is a little bit more complicated. I'll let a local Hong Konger field that one. This is Katie Chan, who grew up in Hong Kong. We did this interview at a lovely tea shop on Hong Kong Island called Tea Plantation. Before jumping into talking about the chocolate scene here in Hong Kong, could you tell me a little about the history of Hong Kong as a place?
Oh, Hong Kong in general, right?
Yeah, in general, like the history of how it became Hong Kong.
Hong Kong. Ooh. Now it's actually a difficult question for me. So, Hong Kong, it's like a fish village. Back then, I think it was 100 years ago.
100 years ago?
Yeah, around 100-ish,
okay.
150 years ago, I think.
Wow.
Back then. And then, it's because of the, let's say, I think it's the Opium War. Make that, the British, took over, kind of Hong Kong. And then in the end, China has to lend out Hong Kong for 100 years. They sign a treaty.
According to Encyclopedia Britannica, Katie's correct. During the last half of the 1800s, Hong Kong went from a Chinese trading port to a British colony. The arrangement was set to last 99 years and ended in 1997. From 1997 onwards, Hong Kong became a territory of China, ruled with the idea of two systems, one government. So Hong Kongers actually have separate passports from mainland Chinese people.
If I'm not wrong.
Crazy. How big is Hong Kong? Like, how many square kilometers is Hong Kong?
I actually don't know.
It's
in the numbers. It's really
small.
small. On the map, it's like a dot.
Yeah.
But it's so packed with
How many
really high population. I think it's almost 8 million people in Hong Kong. It's such a small place.
Hong Kong is about 1,100 square kilometers of land, roughly 1.5 times the size of New York City. And that's because 90% of Hong Kong is actually on mainland China. But Hong Kong has 7.4 million people versus New York City's 8.6 million. It's not the world's most densely populated city, but it's up there. And so, British influence in Hong Kong, which is attached to mainland China, in the top of Hong Kong is attached to mainland China. What influence has Britain had upon Hong Kong culture? Like, do you feel like a Chinese person?
This is a very interesting question because I'm 34-year-old. I experienced the British colony time. And then after the handover, it's already almost 20 years now. So I experienced the whole. Now it's China. And then back then it was a British colony, right, Hong Kong. Yeah. So I really experienced a big change throughout that past.
So when you were 13, Hong Kong changed hands from being a British colony to 1990.
In 1997. So I have to say it has changed a lot. But Hong Kong is still very international, I have to say. We have a really mixed culture, and then Hong Kong people are pretty open-minded to new things. And then there we have quite a big community of expats in Hong Kong as well.
As far as chocolate goes, this means that diving into Hong Kong's developing chocolate culture isn't nearly as straightforward as Chinese tastes and influences. The blend of cultures that makes up Hong Kong is as rich and complicated as its history, and this complexity has inevitably melted into their chocolate industry. The local woman I was talking to before is actually Katie Chen, founder of the Chocolate Club Hong Kong, a craft chocolate-focused business selling chocolate and doing pairings across the city. Katie started her business in 2014, after several years working for the Singaporean chocolate brand Awfully Chocolate. She's had the fortune of being able to study and travel around the world over the years, including a year in Japan, some time in mainland China, and several years in London. When she returned to Hong Kong, she noticed that
whiskey and also wine tasting was very popular. And I was thinking, oh, why not maybe I can brought, the whole concept into Hong Kong. There's nothing like in Hong Kong about chocolate tasting.
So from the start, you were interested in doing pairings and tastings?
Yeah, I think up to now, my within the company, the whole business, I think what I enjoy the most is the education part. To share my love of chocolate, and another thing is because craft chocolate is still very niche and only not many people know about it still after 5 or 6 years effort. Yeah. But I'm happy to see more and more people interested in it, because I always in my workshop I always try to explain there's nothing wrong to eat commercial chocolate. What I want to let them know is to know how to distinguish what is a good chocolate, what's commercial chocolate. Yeah. Because I always tell them I also eat Kit Kat too sometimes, because this is what we grew up from.
When Britain gave up governmental control over Hong Kong, that in no way erased their substantial influence upon Hong Kong cuisine. Afternoon tea and the occasional Cadbury bar were still very present in most Hong Kongers' lives. Other brands have also taken a hold, but they're overwhelmingly European brands. So when Katie first started introducing craft chocolate to Hong Kong, now half a decade ago, she had some very strong ties to contend with. Good chocolate didn't have to be European to be good.
So you think giving context and doing educational seminars and pairings has had the most impact upon people's interest?
Yes, because I always believe in for chocolate. Chocolate is something that you really have. You need interaction between people. So I'm always enjoy the part that to explain it myself and talk to them, and also let them taste the chocolate, because I always believe for food and drinks, you have to try it to believe in it, or to realize, oh, that's really good, because there's nothing you can lie. when something tastes good, or
you can see on their face.
Exactly. Yeah. You cannot lie about it. So I think that's I think it served the biggest impact in terms of that.
So you have now about 5 years of experience selling bean-to-bar chocolate online in Hong Kong. Mm. How have you seen people's demand and interest change over time? Like products that used to be popular now aren't, or new products selling like hotcakes?
I think now people would love to try, I think, more different origins, I guess. It's one of the brand that we have is a Fuwan chocolate. So quite a lot of if they know about, for the people who know about craft chocolate, they usually already know origins that from let's say South America, Central America, but not in this part of the world, which is kind of let's say, it's emerging markets as well, countries for cacao.
It's like knowing about European whiskey, but not about Japanese whiskey.
Yes, exactly. So so I'm really happy to introduce that into the Hong Kong markets as well. That people can try. Oh, that they now realize that even in Southeast Asia or even in Taiwan, they produce very good quality cacao, and also you can enjoy the chocolate as well.
So how do people usually react to this? Fuwan is a chocolate maker using Taiwanese cacao on Taiwan to make chocolate. How do people react to that?
They first of all they were very surprised that they didn't know that Taiwan can grow cacao trees. Yeah. And then overall they enjoy the chocolate a lot as well.
Taiwan's complicated relationship with China is another episode entirely. But with just a 90-minute flight between them, there is a lot of travel happening between Hong Kong and Taiwan. Knowing that cacao is growing so close by is a big deal. And the fact that chocolate made from it tastes so good is even more impressive. But what really draws Hong Kongers to craft chocolate is
because of the health, because they know that the sugar level is much less or even no sugar. And it's a trend that like people really concerned about their health. Also because of the trend of, like nowadays we talk about craftsmanship in lots of different things like wine, whiskey, even gin nowadays, or tea as well. So when I try to explain them and tell them the story for chocolate, they find it pretty fascinating about that as well.
So like the storytelling aspect of them plays a big role.
Yeah, because like there's one thing when I was doing my workshop, I think most of people know that was the raw material of making chocolate, which is cacao beans. Mm-hmm. But when I show them the pot, they will find that they never know that it's a fruit.
They knew it was made of cacao, but they didn't realize what cacao is.
Yes. That's really interesting, right?
It's especially interesting considering that Hong Kong is an island and it's attached to China, but it's really far south. It doesn't get very cold in the winter. There's lots of tropical fruits here. Mm-hmm. You can't grow cacao, but it's interesting that with all the close, like nearby growing regions for cacao, people don't know that much about what the fruit looks like.
In Europe, which has heavily influenced Hong Kong's chocolate culture, bonbons and chocolate bars are quite common, at all price levels. There's much more demand, and at least a possibility of cheap rent. But Hong Kong hasn't had the same specialty chocolate revolution as in Britain. This is partly because there's never been much of a local community of chocolatiers and craftspeople to give them this pride in Hong Kong-made products.
What types of chocolate are most popular in Hong Kong? The craft chocolates.
Craft chocolate. So far, I think with inclusion will be the easiest to accept. I think something like my dark chocolate with sea salt. I think people really like chocolate with sea salt here, or maybe some chocolate with nuts because Hong Kong people tend to like nuts a lot. In as an inclusion for chocolate. Let's say in general public.
And why do you think so? Like, are nuts a popular food in Hong Kong? Like for snacking?
Yes. There's kind of like history for it because like it's one of we try like move back to the commercial chocolate part. The most popular chocolate in Hong Kong, let's say it consists of the biggest pie in the chocolate market share. I'm talking about in general.
Yeah.
It's Ferrero Rocher. And Ferrero Rocher, we all know that is including like whole hazelnut in it, right? So, and it's been selling in Hong Kong for a really long time. People take it as a snack. And it's also why it takes up so much of the market share is at least 40%, I'm talking about, of the whole total market share. Still now, I think. After, I think, at least more than 10 years. It's because, like, of course, there are lots of reasons. Because in general, we love nuts with chocolate. And it's because of the gifting, it's because it's a gift set. And then because like chocolate, first of all, it's very seasonal in Hong Kong. And then secondly, is because people purchase chocolate mainly for gifting. Not like, it's like, because we're not like European, we don't really have the habit of eating chocolate bars. And we have the habit of, let's say eating chocolate as a snack in terms of commercial chocolate, but not in craft chocolate or like a chocolate bar.
To dig into why exactly that is, I sat down with local chocolatier and pastry chef Jeffrey Koo.
I'm Jeffrey Koo from Hong Kong. I worked in this industry for 22 years.
Jeffrey is an average-sized guy with a short mohawk, no hair on either side of his head, and a huge smile. He's had his own chocolatier and patisserie brand for just a few years. But before he was able to open his own shop, he was a pastry chef at Hong Kong's famous Mandarin Oriental, followed by a stint in France. Jeffrey and I met at his studio on Hong Kong Island, where he teaches classes on both chocolate and pastry.
Can you tell me a little bit about the relationship between Europe and Hong Kong and Macau, as well as the relationship with mainland China?
I think for, let's say in Hong Kong first, Hong Kong is a very international city. So used to be, even now today, you can see many of the new brands from different countries. They will come to Hong Kong to open their own shop or franchisee their own shop as well. So the reason is because Hong Kong is relieving a lot of different international people. The demand is here. Secondly is Hong Kong for importing the ingredients is quite easygoing. So because somehow like different country, they are very strict on importing. So in Hong Kong is reverse. Hong Kong you can find different nice food from different country. Also you can import the different nice food as well. So it's more easy. You can find what you need as a chef.
So Hong Kong's role as a financial and travel hub in Asia has made it a great place to be a chef, but not a great place to start a business, unless you've got a lot of capital. So how has this lack of locally grown businesses affected Hong Kong?
What do you think, having all of these chocolatiers in the hotels, what do you think that's done to contribute to the reputation that Hong Kong has for quality chocolate or patisserie?
For example, in Hong Kong, I think maybe 1/3 they will have their own pastry shop in hotel. Not really much because of the manpower. It's not for everything because they don't have enough manpower to producing product to selling to the shop. Secondly, when in a hotel, when you have a place for a shop, you have to think about how to managing the people, how to selling the rest. So why the hotel they don't want to have their own shop because they will using that shop to rent to somebody. Yeah. It's better like this. Rent to a luxury shop.
If you didn't catch that, he said that even the local hotels, which have the space to open a locally based chocolate shop, prefer to rent to large international chocolatiers. Making their own brand just isn't worth the hassle.
So that's why when you're traveling to Hong Kong, if you have hotel shopping mall, mostly you will see a big brand. Yes, this is a reason. Because when you have the rental, it's better than you own their own shop. People like me, maybe they will open their own shop. So for us, the rental is too high, so we can affordable to have a small shop in a shopping mall. So this is good for us for a starting company, because our company just start for 3 years. Then we have something like that. It's not easy to managing a shop, to be honest, because for making a chocolate, making a cakes, the margin is very low. Yeah. If you want to make a money, you are not making a shop.
Yeah.
You are buy a property. It's better.
So yeah, better invest in property than invest in a cake shop.
So investing in a cake shop is my stupid job, to be honest. Yeah, but because my shop is me and my wife to holding the whole things.
Yeah. So
this my vision is to have a shop we can show to our kids. So it's not easy we can survive just one shop. So that's why we have an online shop, we have a class, we have everything. Most of the Hong Kong, the shop, you will see many things.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I haven't noticed any chocolatiers who are only selling bonbons and bars. I've only noticed like patisseries, which also sell chocolates and bonbons and
because very less, not much like in Paris, like in France, the patisserie they will opening maybe their shop and then selling a bar or selling the confiture with the cakes. Honestly, in Hong Kong, not much. Like in Japan, no. So for me, for my colleague, maybe only three people or four people were opening their own shop with their name. I think Hong Kong, we don't only have a chocolatier because Hong Kong, if only working with chocolate is not possible. So mainly is a patissier with maybe some with the chocolate experience. Yes, I have to say like this. In France, it's a very specially chocolatier. But in Hong Kong, is the chocolatier. Even the chocolatier also will have the pastry because have to survive. Otherwise, it's not survival.
It seems to me like in Hong Kong, the desserts are seen as a luxury. And so unlike the shops where you can have one specialty food that you make for generations, in Hong Kong you have to keep convincing people like, oh, you should invest in this luxury. It's delicious and it's beautiful.
Yes.
Unlike food for dinner.
Yes. Hong Kong is true. Hong Kong is like that. Marketing is key number one. Yes. Then story. Second is a story. Third is maybe any names of the chef or not. These are part of the marketing. So after those will be the taste.
And speaking of taste,
So right now, pastries like the ones at your patisserie are very popular, but what are some local, more traditional Hong Kong desserts?
Ah, okay. Wow, it's a lot. Traditional local Hong Kong dessert like the soup with the red bean soup or something with soup, hot soup, like the red bean sweet soup. The sesame sweet soup, red bean soup, tofu, sweet bean curd. So those is very traditional because the Hong Kong people, they like after dinner, they will have a local soup as a dessert. But the culture is changing. Is now is more and more is a dessert bar, cakes as a dessert for a young generation. Yes.
What are you mentioned earlier you made tonka beans, like various flavors.
Yeah.
What are your most popular flavors at your patisserie?
In my shop, or my creation, I will use mainly a lot of Asian flavoring, Asian touch, like red date, like sweet vinegar.
Sweet vinegar?
Yeah.
How?
Oh, yes, very interesting.
Yeah.
Sweet vinegar and salted kumquat, dark sesame, Chinese tangerine.
and these flavors are a huge hit, both at Jeffrey's shop in Hong Kong's K11 Mall and in American Airlines first-class cabins.
Please introduce yourselves.
Hi, this is Mandy from Hakka Chocolate. And this is Sally from Hakka Chocolate.
And where is Hakka Chocolate?
Hakka Chocolate is in Hong Kong. We start for around 3 years before. And after a year of preparation, we are now set up for 2 years business in central of Hong Kong, Gulf Street.
So you started in early 2017?
Yeah, correct.
So how did you two start Cacao?
You can hear more about Mandy and Sally's origin story in last week's bonus episode, available wherever you get your podcasts. But basically, the two of them were looking for a healthy and creative endeavor, and they sort of fell into fine chocolate. But as they'd certainly tell you, bean-to-bar chocolate and bonbons are perceived very differently in Hong Kong. The concept of craft chocolate in particular is still incredibly new.
So when you started a couple of years ago, were there any other chocolate makers in Hong Kong?
No. At the time, in fact, there is one which is made raw cacao, but now it has been closed.
And now, are there any other chocolate makers in Hong Kong in 2019?
Yeah, there's a few. Yeah, there are a few, but most of them work at home, but not in a formal business setting.
Hong Kong's many imported European bonbons were always marketed for their foreignness and name brand. But makers like Hakka, just 2 years into their shop, are made locally and have no brand equity for the general public. People may know that chocolate is made from cacao, as Katie said at the beginning of the show, but they largely don't realize that it's also being made in Hong Kong.
So how did people react to your chocolate when they first tasted it?
I think most of them, in fact, quite surprised, because this is not the chocolate they used to have from the supermarket or pastry restaurant or confectionery industry. So it is different. So they will say, chocolate could be like this. Yes. So we try to tell them more about the chocolate, where we get them, how to make it. We try to share more information with them. For us, we want to get the customer and people know more about cacao and chocolate, and hopefully, if our productivity gradually, our capacity build up, we hope we can provide some raw cacao or cacao powder for their making, their own making at home in future. And we always encourage the customer to make chocolate at home, but we also understand it takes time for them to learn how to make and to get the product out. Yeah.
So what is your first memory with chocolate when you were younger?
We used to have two kinds of chocolate. One is chocolate in golden corns, wrapped in golden paper for Chinese New Year, and the other is also is the chocolate beans covered with candy. Is manufactured from China, we think. It's It's like it's very colorful. In outlook.
For me, I have tried a chocolate tablet from Philippines. My mom, she has some relative in Philippines. They brought back the tablet to make the breakfast with oat milk. Yeah, that's my memory.
Tablia?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
So
This one.
At this point, Sally reached over to the other side of the shop and showed me some balls of ground cacao. Their entire factory cafe is only about 2 square meters, so I do mean reached over. These cacao balls are traditionally known as tablia, or tablets of cacao.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, something like that.
A lot of the Hokkien people,
Southern part of China,
they
live in the Philippines.
They went to the Philippines for work, and they will bring back this Philippine tablet chocolate back home, back to China, or back to Hong Kong,
Like a gift?
as a souvenir and gift from Philippines.
Yeah.
So a lot of the Hong Kong Hokkien people have a habit to use these tablets to make hot chocolate drink, hot chocolate with egg,
Or with oat milk.
It's a traditional, beverage.
Both Sally and Mandy, who are in their 30s, later remarked that aside from those gold coins from Chinese New Year and the occasional tablia, there really was no chocolate in their households growing up. It just wasn't available. So for them to open up a chocolate factory of any size in Hong Kong was and is a big deal.
What effect do you think having a retail shop has had upon your business?
I think it is we are able to contact with the people more directly, and so people can give us immediate feedback, our customer, and can share their views, what they like, what they don't like, with us. And some of them, in fact, are also very knowledgeable
And
experienced. Foodie, and so they can share with us their advice as well.
But now, in Hong Kong, what is the association with chocolate overall? now that you're adults and now that you're talking to people about chocolate all the time, do you think it's changed at all?
I think obviously the people get to know chocolate more and more, and in Hong Kong, in fact, it's quite convenient to get chocolate from supermarket, from shopping mall, from a specialist shop. Now it is more easy to reach now, I think. Yeah, when being compared with let's say 20 years or 30 years ago.
Despite nearly a century of British rule, Hong Kong is pretty new to the chocolate industry as a whole. Of course, a $10 chocolate bar is a hard sell if your only concept of chocolate are cheap gold coins that say made in China, or even a box of imported bonbons. Fancy, but foreign. For Jeffrey at his patisserie, beauty comes before all. But at Hakka, there's no previous example of chocolate bars, unless you count Kit Kats or Cadbury bars. So instead of seeing it as regular chocolate, it seems like Hong Kongers are attracted to it for the health benefits.
People always request no sugar, no extra sugar for the drinks, or they always ask, is it very sweet? But after they taste the chocolate, they found out, oh, that's good. But they always rejected the idea too sweet.
I think it is all about health issue, and also for some of them want to keep fit and avoid too much sugar.
So you want to stay fit and healthy, so less sugar?
Yeah.
But we would test the cacao percentage from 100% to 70 something, and we will find a point that we think the profile of the cacao can be represented.
So when I came to visit a couple of years ago, you guys were using Sri Lankan cacao, but now you're using a different origin.
Yeah.
Why did you change your origins?
One of the reasons was Hong Kong people looks for different new things, and also it is our view. We want to introduce the Hong Kong customer the cacao from different origins, and so they can taste the different portfolio of different beans from different origin, so they can have more knowledge about cacao. And hopefully we want to have a kind of stimulation so they can find out more about chocolate in different parts of the world themselves later on. Normally we talk a lot with our customer when they come. And also, it's also because as a learning maker, we also want to make chocolate with different beans from different origin. Not until you make the chocolate yourself, you can't have a better feeling of the beans from the different origins.
And understanding and development.
Yeah, so we also want to learn more about the chocolate from different parts of the world. So we try to introduce and import the cacao beans from different origin. Yeah, even though importing cacao beans from different let's say from South America takes some time, but we think it's worth. Yeah.
Yeah, because Hong Kong maybe is not a big country used to import a lot of cacao. So like Ecuador is the first time to export their cacao to Hong Kong, so they need to go through a lot of procedures before they can do the exportation.
Looking forward, maybe 5 or 10 years, what do you think will be different in Hong Kong chocolate culture, chocolate scene?
Hopefully, there are more chocolate makers in Hong Kong.
I think so.
And gradually, also, more and more people will know more about craft chocolate. Like the people in Hong Kong now, in fact, know quite well about the coffee. Specialty coffee. Yeah, and there are lots of coffee shops in Hong Kong now. We hope by 5 or 10 years afterwards, the chocolate will have the same development in Hong Kong.
In every new industry, there are the early adopters. In Hong Kong's craft chocolate scene, Hilda Chan was one of these early adopters. You may know her better as My Chocolate Diary on Instagram. We met up for lunch during my visit, and I just had to ask her how she thought Hong Kong's chocolate culture had been shaped and influenced.
I think Hong Kong just follow the others' trend. Hong Kong people, they know, in the American, they buy chocolate for their lovers during Valentine's Day, and then we start to do this.
So you think Hong Kong people often follow what is trendy or popular?
Yeah.
This assessment seems pretty in line with Hong Kong's history. But globally, the trend has been towards both eating healthier and eating locally.
Hong Kong made thing is good. We always emphasis on this is made in Hong Kong. We should support the people that they made their own products, but they love the products imported from other countries as well. They think others are better sometimes.
Do you think that people in Hong Kong feel like, oh, made in Hong Kong is the same as made in China?
No, totally different.
How is it different?
We don't really like the word made in China. We think that there are so many untruthful ingredients inside that food product.
So even though Hong Kong is technically part of China, Hong Kongers see this designation of made in Hong Kong as very different from made in China. This is important because going back to that most Googled question about Hong Kong, number one asked is Hong Kong expensive? And the resounding answer is yes. According to CNN's rankings for 2019, Hong Kong actually ties with Singapore and Paris as the most expensive cities in the world. So all of these chocolate businesses have been slow to develop in large part due to that financial aspect. In fact, most of the Hong Kong-based chocolate makers and chocolatiers I found were online only. This includes Hilda's own Renaissance chocolate brand, which she started making just last year and sells through her Instagram.
So you also have a chocolate product you've been making for the last year or so. Could you tell me a little bit about that? Like when you are producing your chocolates, what factors, what characteristics did you think about? Culture, price, origin?
Origin. And now I'm using the maru beans from Vietnam, and I start to make these products because I really love Zoma's old school bar a lot when I tried that last year at the Chocolate Trail. Yeah, and that makes me, I look at the back of the ingredients and there's only cacao beans and sugar, so maybe I can do that at home. I start to try this. I buy some nibs, roasted nibs, and blend it, mix it with sugar and try if it can get the texture like that. It's pretty much the same, but a little bit more chopped. I think my chocolate is so rough. So, but I hope that it is also a chance for people to know more about fine chocolate and the craft chocolate, because they can really taste the cacao flavor in the chocolate.
The Chocolate Trail event Hilda referenced is the same event which inspired her love of craft chocolate several years before. It's now one of 2 chocolate festivals in Hong Kong, since the Salon de Chocolat started a Hong Kong showing in 2018. But I suppose it's par for the course that a European chocolate show branched into Hong Kong. As Hilda said, Hong Kongers tend to follow trends from other countries, and the world loves European chocolate. But following global trends makes sense for a place which is so global. Hong Kong is about as international as it gets. So really, eating globally is eating locally for many Hong Kongers. But the idea of how far your food has traveled to reach you, not its cultural origin, is the basis for the locavore movement. And on that front, Hong Kong has a lot of work to do. Without a doubt, the biggest change my guests wanted to see in Hong Kong was locally born chocolate shops. As Katie said at the beginning,
chocolate is something that you really have, you need like interaction between people.
And there are only so many people you can convince to sign up for a whiskey and chocolate pairing. Asking them to wander into a chocolate cafe downtown is a much easier ask.
Based on the last 5 years and what you've seen with your consumers, your customers, what do you think Hong Kong needs to get that push for it to develop faster or even touch more people with knowledge and interest in craft chocolate?
I always have an idea. It's like the fastest or like the easiest way to deliver this chocolate, craft chocolate message, it will be to have a settings like coffee shop, like a cafe, to experience. Because as I mentioned before, we don't really have a habit of eating chocolate every day. So the best way to present it, it will be in a drinks form, in a dessert form as well. So people can first enjoy the dessert. Using very good quality chocolate, right? And then bit by bit, they understand your brand, and then they will want to know more about the chocolate, like how the chocolate is made, and then also everything behind it. I always think that it will be a point to make the change in the market as well, because the chocolate tasting is the whole experience as well. That people have to, with your sensory, you have to, see it, a very beautiful chocolate, and smell it, and also taste it. I think that if we have that setting, it's kind of like tea ceremony, right? So if we have those sensory settings, there will be more people enjoy craft chocolate or to want to know more about craft chocolate as well.
So change the context of craft chocolate as well as making it part of a habit.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm absolutely on board for the craft chocolate cafe in Hong Kong. Preferably a place with somewhere to rest my feet after spending all day on the road. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Chocolate on the Road. If you liked it, please subscribe, rate, and review the show on iTunes, and share it in any way you see fit. Your support means so much to me. It really keeps me motivated to continue sharing the stories of interesting chocolate people from around the world. An especially huge thank you to Katie, Jeffrey, Sally, Mandy, and Hilda for all of your time and effort and lunches and chocolates that you've shared with me. To learn more about our wonderful guests, check out the show notes of this episode in the link in the description or on my website at damecacao.com. That's DAMECACAO.com. Have a wonderful day, and I hope you'll join me next time we go on the road.